Let's get started. A very warm welcome to each one of you all to the session today. So the session is about B2B e-commerce, and this is Rakesh Ravikumar. I take care of the business development here at Sigma, and I'm sure this will be a fascinating and a worthwhile session for all of us. After this presentation, we'll be having a Q&A session also. So please do send in any questions during the webinar using the Q&A option. So without any further delay, let me introduce our panelists for the day. First up, we have Neeraj Gupta. Neeraj heads the entire e-commerce practice at Sigma, and I truly admire his passion towards new and emerging technologies. He's been in the industry for over 25 years now, and has been a valuable asset to companies like Dell, Motorola, Infosys, and L&T, to name a few. Glad to have you here, Neeraj.
Thanks, Rakesh.
We also have Paushali Datta with us on the panel today. Paushali collaborates closely with our customers to understand the strategy, the processes, the direction they're headed towards, and provides crafted, customized solutions to them. She has over 10 years of industry experience and a track record of providing foolproof solutions. Welcome, Paushali.
Thank you, Rakesh.
Well, before I hand it over to Neeraj and Paushali, let me give you all a quick overview on what Sigma is all about. So Sigma has been in the industry for over 18 years now, and we are a trusted IT global partner, headquartered in Iron, California, with multiple development centers in India. We are a team of about 350 technocrats. We are a certified Adobe Solutions partner and a Shopify partner as well. We've delivered over 250 plus e-commerce projects globally. And from a quality and security standpoint, we are an ISO 9000, 27000, SOC Type 1, and Type 2 certified. Over to you, Neeraj.
Thanks, Rakesh. Yeah, thanks everybody, and good morning to all of you. The key takeaways which we are going to be having as part of this session is going to be like, what are the latest B2B e-commerce trends? We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how the pandemic has changed the landscape of B2B e-commerce. We'll talk about a few stats in the upcoming slides. We'll also talk about the B2B platform neutral features. So like, let's say if some of you don't have the e-commerce, B2B e-commerce currently, how you can get started with the B2B e-commerce journey. And let's say if you're already running your B2B stores, and what are the additional things which you can bring in, like advanced features, which can bring more efficiency to your business, right? So those things we'll cover, and I'm sure it's going to be very, very interesting session for all of you. So moving on. So in the first section, we'll talk about like how the trend has changed, right? We have collected some data, and it is very insightful data, which my colleague Paushali will cover in more detail. So over to you, Paushali.
Thank you, Neeraj. Hello, everyone. Paushali here, and today I will take you on a very interesting journey of how the pandemic has acted as a catalyst in bringing over a paradigm shift in the way customers now deal with the online world, be it in the field of education, shopping, medical consultations, etc., and how these changes are here to stay, and how we can use this changed behavior in building our B2B e-commerce store business. So let's dive in. So here we present the key metrics for the current e-commerce trends. So we see that as high as 70% of the current B2B buyers find buying from a website much more convenient. And 75% of customers do an online research before making any online purchase. Buyers are now demanding self-service options, where they want to get answers to their questions pertaining to products, their pricings, all by themselves without even approaching a sales representative. And this, how has this been possible? With the increasing a number of tech-savvy people and advent of technology, we now have information at our fingertips. But not everything is as rosy. In a market where most interactions are online, buyers are increasingly concerned about data, privacy, and the security of the transactions. And our current B2B e-commerce platforms are very well equipped to take care of that. So now let's look at e-commerce trends for buyers. So this was a study conducted by McKinsey. So we see that prior to the pandemic, majority of the consumers preferred traditional sales interaction over a digital interaction. However, the very same survey or study conducted during peak COVID times saw a complete change of scenario. Now, 66% of the customers would prefer a digital sales interaction as against a 34% who would prefer traditional interaction, which is double the number, right? What a change. Today, 94% of B2B decision makers find the new omnichannel sales model far more effective. With the advent of social media channels and various communities, now it is very easy to get in touch with consumers, with customers, with the various other stakeholders, and even for advertising products. Now let's look at the e-commerce trends from suppliers' perspective. This again is a study conducted by McKinsey. So we see that the preference for in-person interaction at every stage of conducting a B2B business seems to be reducing. And this very same sentiment is echoed by the customers as well. And why? It's ease of scheduling meetings, saving on travel expenses, time saving, and of course, during COVID times, it was safety. And in a B2B environment where you need to interact with multiple stakeholders, multiple people at times, so these reasons are valid enough. So now more than 42% of distributors believe that creating a more sophisticated website to meet the customer's need is the biggest challenge. Today, the customer is very well informed. He has a lot of information at hand and in fact is very picky in his likes and dislikes. And I would not be exaggerating if I say that the current B2B e-commerce platforms can take care of that as well. Now, let's look at what's the new normal in the current e-commerce trends. This is the data presented from a study conducted by McKinsey. So we see that buyers are now willing to spend big amount using remote or self-service. Over 50% of the customers would not mind spending over $50,000 while purchasing products online. Out of which 15% alone are willing to spend an amount over $1 million. That is a really huge amount, right? Now, this indicates that the buyer now has started to trust the online channels. And this has been made possible because the B2B platforms have evolved tremendously over time to offer a rich set of features for the customers. Here, I'll take a pause for a moment while you look at the data presented. So the question we must now ask ourselves is, the pandemic is over. Why do we still continue to use the digital channels? Well, interesting. Few reasons I could think of is it is easy to connect with your customers, ease of interaction with stakeholders, ease of conducting business, cost and time saving, and convenience, right? So important features, aren't they? So with this, I'll hand it over to Neeraj.
Okay. Thanks, Poshali, for covering these stats. I'm sure it'll be quite interesting for all our audience today to kind of see the importance which B2B e-commerce gaining. It was there already, and after pandemic, whole thing has changed and everybody wants to kind of interact more digitally. So that's how it is now. So let's move on. So we have a quick poll question for all of our participants. So we request you all to please provide your feedback so we can see whether our thoughts are resonating with what you have seen, the changes in your respective businesses. Okay, so I think it pretty much resonates with what we saw. Like there's a clear-cut increase of like 25% for most of the people. Some have experienced 50% increase as well, and some even don't have the B2B e-commerce. So we as a company can definitely help you if you are looking for any enhancement of your B2B e-commerce or starting the journey on the B2B e-commerce. Thanks for your time to participate in this poll, and we'll move on to the next section. Yeah, so as we saw, like there's a clear-cut kind of a trend where B2B e-commerce cannot be ignored anymore. So we need to really plan for it to have further growth of our respective businesses, right? So for that, what are the key kind of features which one need to plan for while starting the e-commerce journey? So that we will cover in the next section, and I'll request Vaishali to take us forward onto covering those aspects of the B2B e-commerce.
Thank you, Neeraj. So now let us look at the various basic features which any B2B e-commerce platform is expected to have. And in fact, most of the B2B e-commerce, in fact, all the B2B e-commerce platforms now have these features. So from the perspective of the customer, I would expect to have complete authority over my purchase. I would like to have flexible search options, or ordering by ease of ordering a product. I should be able to request for a quote, reorder any product. I should have, there should be a very responsive customer support team. There needs to be personalized experience, and I should have easy and flexible purchase and payment options. So now looking at the features which are expected, which are basically a B2B, as a business, B2B business owner, I would expect from the e-commerce platform are that it should be able to manage the inventory, orders, warehouse, and shipping. So these are the very basic features which are available in all the e-commerce platforms, and we'll not really go into any of these in detail. So we'll move ahead, further. So let's discuss a couple of very important features. The first is company account. So as a customer, I may have multiple people working for me and taking care of various functional areas, having different roles and responsibilities. So basically a kind of a hierarchy. There might be a set of people who might be telling me what products I need to procure, a different set of people who might be looking after the budgeting, or finance might tell me how much of what I want to buy I can actually go ahead and procure. Further, there might be another set of people who might be actually approving the purchase, right? So we see that there's a kind of a hierarchy. So using the company account feature, we can create a hierarchy and set up roles and responsibilities for each of the members. The company admin can even set permissions for people who can, or users or members who can do ordering, request for a quote, access the payment information, and have payment limits decided. So moving on, let's look at some of the time and effort saving features. So as a customer, I may need to order a set of products, say on a weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly, on a monthly basis. And in a B2B environment or a B2B business, where this list might be huge. So imagine if I have to go search for the product, add it to the cart, this process becomes really cumbersome. Instead, if I had some kind of a list where I can save all these products I need to purchase monthly, weekly, or whatever, depending upon my requirements, I have it somewhere. When I need it, I visit it, I make changes and order it. It would save time and effort. Additionally, if there was a feature wherein if I knew the code, the product code, I could order it right away. So the quick order functionality and the shopping list features help us in doing just this. Moving on, so we have request a quote feature. So authorized customers can initiate the negotiation process. How this works is the customer adds product to the cart and requests for a quote. The store admin gets the quote. The store admin may either approve it or come back with changes. So it goes back and forth between the store admin and the customer till they reach an agreement. And once done, then the customer goes ahead and places the order. So quite a convenient feature. Next, looking at the pricing. So as a business owner, B2B business owner, I may want to control or the product of my the prices of my product based on different pricing for customers and customer groups based on the domain or probably the volume of sales. I may want to have dynamic pricing features which are determined by the market rules of supply and demand, or I may want to have a tier pricing based on the quantity of any product ordered. So all these can be achieved by using the complex pricing feature. Finally, last but not the least, we have the sales rep and the CSR login. This feature will help the sales rep and CSR to use the e-commerce site as a customer, and even they can place order on behalf of customers in case they face any issues. So in this section, we have seen what are the basic minimal features which are required while setting up a B2B e-commerce store. And these features are all available in the current B2B e-commerce platforms. So now I'll pass it over to Neeraj. Over to you, Neeraj.
Okay. Thanks, Poshali, for all these details. It is quite insightful, and we already see some questions flowing in from our audience. So they're really finding it quite interesting, I'm sure. And we'll take up those questions at the end of the presentation. So this is a quick poll number 2, which we have. So we request all our participants to kind of provide the feedback to this particular poll. Okay, so we see like some of the people have kind of added new features like company account. A lot of people have added quick orders into their website, which is a good thing, which helps to kind of really have more orders placed by the customers. And many of our users are kind of saying they have really added all those features which we had talked about, like company account, quick order, request code. So definitely these are the very basic features which every e-commerce, B2B e-commerce site must have. So thanks for your participation in this poll, and we move to the next section. Yeah, so far, like we have covered the basic trends, like what we have seen on the B2B e-commerce and post-pandemic changes in the customer behaviors. We also talked about the very basic feature which any e-commerce site should have. Now it comes like, anyway, if you are running your B2B e-commerce stores, how do you take it to the next level? So we'll talk about a few advanced level features which will add a lot of value to your e-commerce store. And we'll also talk about some of the conversion technique which can help you to enhance your sales further, and how do you measure that and take the corrective action. So those aspects is going to be a little longer section which we'll be covering, and I'll again request Poshali to take us through all these pointers.
Thank you, Neeraj. So in this section, as Neeraj discussed, we'll be looking at some of the advanced B2B features. So the first we'll discuss about is the payment options. So we all know that payment is a very important part of any transaction, and various customers are comfortable with different modes of payment. Say in the middle of a transaction, a customer is not comfortable with the modes of payment available, he or she may actually abandon the transaction and we lose out on business. So we see how important payment is, right? Now in payments in B2B world is much more complicated than in B2C. We already have few modes, methods of payment, which are very much in use in the B2B world. These being credit limits set by a supplier, check, ACH, credit cards, wire transfer, purchase order, even alternatives of for offline payment methods. So my B2B e-commerce platform should be able to provide these different methods of payment to the customer. In fact, it should also allow customers to directly transfer their shipping expenses to the accounts of their delivery partners like FedEx, DHL, etc. Further on, continuing the payments feature. So let's discuss purchase order, which is a very common method of payment used in the B2B world. So purchase order is something which is pre-approved and pre-authorized. It offers two advantages. One, the customer does not need to make an advance payment before making a purchase. And second, it safeguards a seller against any fraudulent transactions. And using this purchase order, customers can use this while checking out. And the PO number's validity will be verified while accepting orders by the backend. So we see we are safe this way. Next, let's look at the shopping cart. So as we discussed in a previous section, that as a customer, I might have various people with different roles and responsibilities looking after different functional areas. I might have a set of people who might be adding products to the cart. I might have a different set of people who might be reviewing the products that have been added. Further, I might be having a separate set of people who might be approving the purchase, right? So as a customer, I would expect the B2B shopping cart to be far more intuitive. It should even allow different levels of approval on the product selection and even the checkout process, depending upon the roles of the person who is doing that work. And it should also have the ability to create multiple shopping carts for users based on the current needs. So all these are addressed by using the shopping cart. These are the features which are available. Further on, real-time inventory. In a B2B e-commerce platform, where we have multiple users across various geographic locations concurrently placing orders, it is very important that we maintain real-time data. Think of a scenario that a customer places an order only to be told later down the line that it cannot be fulfilled just because we're out of stock. Well, what an image it would create. So customers lose trust in your brand, right? So it is imperative that we have real-time data in our system. Further on, well, what's requisition list? It's something like a wish list where we can store or save the list of very frequently procured items. So it saves me the trouble of going back, searching for the product and adding it to cart. Makes my life much more simpler. It even allows the customers to maintain multiple lists that can focus on products from different vendors, buyers, teams, etc. Further on, we have the requested delivery date feature. So in a B2B world, a customer might place an order today, but might request a delivery of the product 10 days down the line, or maybe even after a month. In a factory setup or a warehouse setup, the customer might actually not have the logistics to store the product if it is delivered to him or her before time. And if it's delivered after time, we anyway know the consequences. So if you could have a feature which will help us to determine whether the order was completed on time, it would be very helpful for me. So the requested delivery date feature helps us in doing just that. So with this, we have covered all the basic and advanced features which are available in or are a must-have in a B2B e-commerce platform. So the next question we need to ask ourselves is this the end of our journey in setting up a B2B e-commerce store? Can I say my store can go live now? Or there is something else that I need to do? So let's take a pause and think for a moment. The answer to the question is no. We still have a couple of things to complete before we can safely say or can confidently say that my store is ready to go live. So what are these steps? We will be seeing in the subsequent slides, and we'll cover them step by step by asking the question, what next? So going further on, third-party integration. So, and now we see a lot of software development going all around us. There are so many frameworks, so many services getting developed every other day. And these basically help us in improving efficiency of our system. That even is a very important aspect, right? So our e-commerce platform should have the ability to integrate with such third party. Well, it can help us in real-time inventory updates, pricing consistency, order synchronization, AI-powered commerce. And as a customer, I might already have an ERP system in place to do the bookkeeping, and I may want it to be integrated with the e-commerce platform. So that should also be allowed, right? Apart from this, there are a couple of other integrations very useful, which help us in improving the efficiency of our system. They are CRM, PIM, e-commerce, and e-procurement. So let's see what these are. CRM is customer relationship management. It is a system. If we have the system in place, the user data from our system flows to the CRM, and it can automatically send out or contact my customers with any newsletters, promotions, coupons, personalized emails, basically widening my user database. And that too without any manual intervention. Next is PIM e-commerce. PIM stands for Product Information Management. As a B2B business owner, apart from my own website, I may be selling my products through using other online channels like Amazon, eBay, Marketplace, etc. I might be selling the same products. And it is very important there be a consistency in the products, the price, description, etc. So if I had a central repository which could store details of all my products, services, pricing, etc. In case there's any change, I could make the change in the central repository, and this change would flow out in all the online channels. This would maintain data consistency in all the channels, right? Further on, we have the e-procurement. This is a system which helps in streamlining the ordering, purchasing, requisitioning, etc. So we see the e-commerce platform should have an ability to integrate with these, to have these third-party integrations to increase the efficiency of our system. So once I have done this, what next? Okay, so now I have a very good set of advanced features, which I feel my customers would love to have. I have integrated with a couple of third-party tools and services. Now, I need to see how all these integrations work together in tandem, how they work as a single entity, right? So if I can find out what percentage of the people that land on my website actually end up buying a product, it will help me to determine how happy the buyers or customers are with my website, right? In fact, this is a measure of the conversion rate of my website as well. In a B2B, the shopper's journey is much more complicated, and it's long drawn, and we have multiple stakeholders involved. So it can be considered as a three-step journey. The first is the product discovery phase, where a customer who lands up on my website finds a product that he or she actually likes. The second stage is when the product is added to cart. That is when the customer is convinced that he or she would like to use the product. And finally is the checkout process. When it's been checked out, that is when the customer actually ends up buying the product. So if we could have a system in place which could track this shopper's journey and analyze the data and find out if there are any problems. In case there are any problems, find a solution, deploy the solution, test the solution, and see if there has been any improvement in the conversion rate, and do this entire set of operations in iteration. If I could have such a system in place, it would be very helpful to me. So we have conversion rate optimizers which do this entire gamut of operations. So just to give you an example of what kind of issues, just to be able to connect the dots, Say, as a customer, I land up on a website and it takes ages to load. I lose interest. In fact, studies show that conversion rates are best attained when the load time is between 0 to 4 seconds. I want to search for a product. I feel I've given all the search parameters. It does a beautiful search functionality. I've given all the search parameters, but I know what I'm searching for is there, but it does not end up in the search list. Or worse still, the product which matches the most, it's in the end of the search list. Of course, I'm put off. Or while making payment, it times out or it hangs. So these are the kind of issues that can be addressed if I have a CRO tool in place. So now, coming to the last leg, we have enhanced our system. We have the best features available. Our system is, very efficient. The web performance, the website is perfect. What next? The main important thing next is to find out how is my business performing, the performance of a business. So to find that out, I need to be able to answer a few questions of the kind: how are my orders growing? How are my products performing? Which is a fast-moving product and which is a slow-moving product? Who are my most loyal customers? Which customers are on the verge of churning and who are the lost customers? And then probably have targeted promotion for each customer segment. Is my coupon strategy working? My campaigns are effective or not? If I have store in different geographical locations, comparing the sales figures from those stores and finding out how they perform, or it's end of the month or end of the season sale and I scramble to get my sales report and just not get the report. I need to compare it with the report of the previous month or the previous year. So, I mean, there's a lot of work involved. Instead, if I could have a system in place which could do all this itself and tell me what I need to do as a business owner, life would be much simpler for me, right? So exact these and much more can be achieved by having a business intelligence tool in place. And in fact, business intelligence, the field is so vast in itself that it is not possible to cover what else we can do with it. But yeah, it does make the life much more simpler. So we have a lot of BI tools in the market today. Some of them are specific to a platform and few platforms which do not have a BI tool integrated. We have many frameworks available which can be integrated. So let's look at a few names. Magento Business Intelligence, this is specific for Magento users. Looker, it is a product of Google Cloud. Power BI is Microsoft's BI tool. And then we have Pentaho and Conversific. These are BI frameworks. So end of the day, thanks to the digital platform, digital way, every way, we have a lot of data at hand. If we are able to harness this data properly and generate actionable insights, it can be a very important input in growing my business, right? So with this, I come to the end of my presentation and I'll hand it over to Neeraj. Over to you, Neeraj.
Okay. Thanks, Poshali, for covering the very advanced journey of the B2B e-commerce, right from adding the advanced level features to coming to the third-party integration, then coming to the how do we increase the conversions to the business intelligence part. It's quite insightful. I'm sure our audience will get benefited out of that one. So moving on. Yeah, we have a quick poll. We request all of our audience to please participate in that, and basis your feedback, our team will connect back with you. Okay, so moving to the next one. So which is just move the next slide. Yeah. So by the time more questions are coming in, I just want to summarize what we covered so far so that it's kind of quick recap of what we learned so far. Like we have seen the various data, right? And the mobile app is more handy, and people have access to social media, and the data is easily available. A lot of digital things are happening. Anything anybody wants to buy, first point of contact is going to be people are coming to Google and making a search, right? Whether it's a B2B related item or it's a consumer item. So that's what we have seen in the previous presentations. We also saw like how the behavior of suppliers as well as the buyers have changed in the past couple of years, mostly during the pandemic, and it still remains same. Those behaviors are remain same, and people prefer digital first strategy, like where for any item they would prefer to have a Zoom call rather than meeting face to face, which saves time, energy, money, everything, right? So those trends are going to remain, and that kind of really emphasizes more need of having the B2B e-commerce for each and every item, what possibly we can think of. So in the later part of time, like we also discuss about the various features, like which are must-have features, like having company account setup, quick order, request a quote, shopping list, and various other features which Paushali has covered in detail, like which talks about having a basic site functioning for any B2B businesses. Later, we also discussed how B2B payments are different than the B2C payments, because B2C payments are relatively much simpler. We swipe our cards and kind of get the items. But in B2B world, like it is, sometimes it is offline payment, sometimes it is payment by multiple payment methods, sometimes they have a credit limit set by the sellers for each of the companies. So we need to take care of all those aspects in our B2B journeys, which can be very well taken care of many platforms which are currently available in the market. Also, the shopping lists are not that straightforward. It's not like one guy is kind of making the purchases. It is done by the set of folks, like maybe one guy may enter the data, other guy may review it, and there may be some budgetary approvals as well. So it goes through multiple kind of steps. So it has to be very flexible. It has to be very intuitive for anybody to act on it, right? We also discussed like having the real-time inventory functionality in place, because that is something which is very key for any business to get served well, because the items are very much critical for business to get going. So it is very important. They're well aware about, while placing the order, they're well aware about availability as well as the delivery of those particular items. We also saw like importance of having purchase orders in place, which can be used in the B2B e-commerce to make payments as an authorized kind of a purchase order numbers. We also discussed like various third-party integrations, like making your whole operation more effective, like with connecting with the CRM system, connecting with ERP, using PIM to have a central repository of all your products and pricing at one place, so that you have to change at one place and goes to your website, it goes to the partner website like Amazon and others. We also discussed in brief about how do you kind of take care of your conversion, because after making so much investments into making your site up and running, adding more features to it, kind of we need to really see whether people are coming to your website and are they able to make purchases or not. So there are various tool sets available which can be leveraged to really see how the buyers are kind of purchasing that, where they are having any issues, and those things can be acted upon with the various. We can run the A/B testing also and see what is working for the customers and make those changes accordingly to the website, which is very helpful feature even for the B2B buyers as well. We also saw like with the tons of data which get generated, even when people are browsing the site or they're making purchases, we are well aware about their preferences and all that. And BI can really come very handy to really see like how those data can be leveraged for the benefit of increasing our sales and serving our customers in a much better way. So those are the aspects which we have kind of covered in this particular presentation. I'm sure it'll be quite helpful for all of our audience. And we already received a few questions, and I'll hand it over to Rakesh to kind of pick up the few questions, and then we are happy to answer that. Over to you, Rakesh.
Sure, Neeraj. Thank you very much. So now let's see what questions we've got from the audience. So first up, we have a question from Ms. Catherine. So her question goes like, how do I choose the right B2B e-commerce platform?
Okay, so I'll take up that question. So it's a good question because we have covered like many aspects of it. Not really sure whether all our customer needs all those features or not. So there's no one answer to this particular question. It again depends what kind of needs Catherine has for her business, and because all the platforms serves the basic needs of B2B e-commerce, but we need to understand what are the specific things, what kind of items they are selling, what is their roadmap for future growth, what kind of investment they are looking at. So basis that we can definitely suggest what is the right way forward for them, and we're happy to connect with Catherine offline to take that discussion forward.
Sure, Neeraj. Catherine, we would connect with you offline and we can discuss more about this.
Sure.
And we have a question from Mr. Paul as well. So his question is, what type of industries can B2B e-commerce be applied to?
Yeah. So as we saw, like during COVID time, everything was getting sold online only. People were searching for products, be it B2C item or B2B items, and that remains same as we saw it in the various data points, what we saw right during the presentation. So, and during our own journey of kind of doing the implementation of many of our customers, we have seen the item which we never thought will come as a B2B e-commerce item. We have seen people are selling chemical items, people are selling hardwares and like electrical fittings and stuff like that. So there's no boundaries, I would say, for the B2B e-commerce to kind of flourish. So any item and every item can be kind of have the B2B e-commerce in place, because now, as we discussed, like any journey starts from Google. People look for the item, search for those items, and kind of come to the website and make the purchases, right? So you need to have very much SEO friendly site wherein like your items are well having good description, people are able to find you, and definitely you're going to have an additional channel if you're not really having the B2B e-commerce for your items. Definitely is going to add a new channel for all your further growth.
Right. So, and we have a question from Mr. Anush as well. So his question is, how to grab new B2B customers using digital channels?
Yeah. So definitely see again, as we discussed, the first and foremost is like having a good site which is SEO friendly. So you are searchable, your products are searchable. After that, definitely various campaigns can be run, various digital marketing can be done, paid marketing, PPC, and others can be done based on the type of item which you have in mind to sell it. Like you need to figure out what is the right way, whether which social platform you should use it, right? Whether it should be Facebook or it should be LinkedIn or it should be Insta or any of the other platforms which we have in place, and decide the right strategy to really attract more and more buyers to your website and make a purchases onto your website.
Right. Hope your question was answered, Anush. And finally, we have one last question from Mr. Lindsay Hansen. So his question is, can we personalize the website for B2B customers alone?
Yeah, definitely, because that's become the very default expectation. We all are used to of kind of going to the Amazons and seeing the products which we have bought it or which we typically like it. And same is the expectation even the B2B buyers has to kind of see that item which they have bought it or item they may be interested to buy based on their kind of business which they are running into, right? So there are set of tools which are available to make the personalized kind of content for each of our buyers onto the B2B platform, which is very much possible, and it has to be done. And there are, as I said, there are tool set available to take care of those needs. So it can be very well taken care, and it is a very good thing to increase the sale where customer buys those items very quickly onto the platform and make a purchases.
Thanks, Neeraj. Thanks for answering all the questions. And yeah, these were all the questions. And if you have any more questions, you can always shoot any questions to us using any of the mail IDs that are displayed, or you can also connect with us on LinkedIn and we can have a chat there also. And thank you very much, Neeraj and Paushali, for this wonderful session. It was very insightful. And nevertheless, I'd like to thank all the participants as well for being such wonderful and active crowd. And the recording of this session also will be provided to you. So it will all be sent to your mail IDs. And well, we've come to the end of this webinar. We'll be back with another interesting topic for sure. And we'll keep you all posted on that as well. See you all, friends. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks everybody. Have a good day.